Welcome to the Knox Soccer Podcast, where we tell the soccer stories of our favorite big town, little city, Knoxville, Tennessee, and around the world. I'm Patrick Teasdale.
And I'm Brian Canever.
This episode, once again, was another one long time coming. We finally got the American Outlaws, the Knoxville chapter, on today's episode. On the heels of a not-so-great, maybe slash horrible USA men's national team flaming out of the Copa América. Now, Brian, you said if the USA or Argentina make it to the finals, you're going, because it's going to be in New Jersey. So
yeah, I think I may have gotten ahead of myself. So the semifinal is actually going to be in New Jersey this year.
Okay.
Previously, as some of our listeners may recall, in 2016, the Copa América Centenario final was in New Jersey. Patty and I were both there. Argentina lost in penalty kicks without scoring. And this year the final's in Miami, where I do have people in Miami, so I was like, but man, this is actually an issue that's come up time and again throughout this Copa América, because as you may have noticed, Patty, a lot of stadiums are empty. The CONMEBOL Confederation has decided to host these games in American football stadiums, a lot of the stadiums that are going to be used during the 2026 World Cup. And that may work for certain games, but for like a Costa Rica Paraguay game, that's not really going to work. And so there's been stadiums that have had 25, 30, or 40,000 people in attendance, but they look empty because they're usually, they're used to having 70 or 80,000 people in those stadiums. Also, the prices have been absolutely outrageous. And so I think a lot of people have been critical because they say, like in the Euros, I think the cheapest seat for a Euros game in the group stage was £20 or 20 euros. And the cheapest seat at a group stage game for the Copa América was $250, which is about what I paid to see Argentina and Canada. Yeah. Well, and then also they can't decide on a good camera perspective at all. Like it's just a high school amateur team came to film, to broadcast. So we get the tactic cam. Love that one. Yeah. So, and that's something we will probably talk about with our guests, since the most
Let's get to him, Brian. Go
the most hate on the camera angles was actually during the USA's final group stage game against Marcelo Bielsa's Uruguay, a 1-0 loss. But before we start to break it down and share our opinions on the U.S. men's national team performance in the Cup, I want to introduce these guests of ours, Kyle Clark and Giles King, both of the American Outlaws Knoxville organization. American Outlaws is the official supporters group for the U.S. men's and women's national teams. They've been around for decades. If you've ever gone to a national team game, you've probably seen them behind the goal, jumping and shouting, singing, dancing, leading the cheers. And Kyle and Giles are two of the guys that are behind Knoxville's chapter. So, guys, I would love for you to introduce yourselves, starting with Mr. President, Kyle Clark.
Well, gentlemen, nice to meet you. Thanks for having us. Me and a few other gentlemen started the Knoxville AO chapter a year before the 2014 World Cup, and we have been trying to keep it going ever since. And then Giles came along with a much-needed talent and help here, Giles.
Hey, what's up? Yeah, Giles here.
So Giles,
love it.
Humble. Yeah,
Giles is here. Yes, he is.
I'm here.
Giles, what's your role with AO Knoxville?
On the socials, help make the events, coordinate with Schulz Brau, make sure there's no conflicts, help develop some merch. And lately, something fun is trying to coordinate. I want to try and get more carpools going so that we have no excuses to get out to the Nashvilles, to get out to the Atlantas. So coordinating some away trips too.
Awesome. So we're going to get into that. And of course, in our show notes, we will share all of the links to AO Knoxville information. Actually, in our research for the pod, I started doing some Googling, and I found the AO Knoxville chapter website, which hasn't been updated since 2013, around the time that Kyle started the chapter, and I actually found a picture of myself in it from back when we used to meet at Soccer Taco on Dean Hill. Do you remember those days, Kyle?
I do. That was our very first home. So part of getting a chapter started, one of the minimum requirements is having a bar that will show not just the video, but the audio. And that was a struggle. And Soccer Taco was the first yes we got, and we just jumped on it.
Yeah, I remember those days well, watching it in the back of Soccer Taco. I'm sure that you've been at numerous places throughout the years. For the past couple, it's been at Schulz Brau. Patty and I have been able to join you guys there a couple of times. I actually had my kids out there for 2 of the 3 group stage games, which was a blast. Where has the organization been in the past 11 years since it started? Can you talk us through a little bit of that evolution from the very beginning, Kyle, and then eventually, Giles, when you joined Dawn and where it is today in 2024?
Yeah. Me, Drew, Worley, Matt Warren, Jason Gallett, and as you know, Benji Settlemeyer. We all just kind of found each other, all with the same idea as American Outlaws started to really kind of catch the fans' passion across the country. We hopped from bar to bar, just trying to guarantee, getting the games on, competing all the while with the diehard love and passion for UT sports. And then still to this day, but the love is growing. And so as the years passed, we've had leadership come in and out. Life happens. People have families. Responsibilities change. And I think I'm one of the few with no kids left, which is why I'd still be here. But lo and behold, there was a while I was taking the reins on myself, and that was exhausting. And Giles came on and has been invaluable to time and effort and ideas he's brought to the chapter.
I'm touched.
So I want to give it over to Giles here for a second, because the way that Giles and I know each other is because we played adult league soccer here in Knoxville together over the past couple of years. Giles, it's interesting. He's when you see him, he's kind of like a big, intimidating fella, and he also plays along the back line. But of Knoxville's adult soccer players, he's probably one of the nicer guys, breaking up the fights rather than instigating them, which there are a lot of fights instigated on weekday nights all around Knoxville during the soccer leagues. So obviously, Giles, you're a player. It's not easy to be running an organization like AO Knoxville. For anybody that's been involved in, Premier League supporters group, MLS supporters group, that's been involved with the Scruffs, or even that's just served with a nonprofit organization, student organization at UT, getting people to show up and do things and participate is super hard. So Giles, how did you get involved, and what's the motivation for, getting the crew together at Schulz Brau and making sure people know where you're going to be and how they can go see away games and all that other stuff that you mentioned earlier?
Well, I got involved just because I wanted to come watch some games, but it does help that Kyle and I are both City fans. Pause for applause. And, it just made it easy. I got the inside scoop from him and what it takes. So, and I knew that he was in need of a little hand, so I was happy to come on and help out. But when I moved to Knoxville back in 2016, and I've been watching games even back at Crown and Goose. Just came a little later than Kyle did.
I remember the Crown and Goose days. I feel like that's when I ran into you guys. And so, yeah, it's really cool to see you guys move around, and absolutely love Schulz Brau. I feel like it's the place to be for any soccer, especially USA soccer. That's awesome.
Can't beat that beer garden.
Oh, man, you can't. No, you can't.
It's funny because I actually told myself, I think I grew up an Argentina supporter. My family's from Argentina, and we just, didn't watch U.S. men's soccer. In the 90s, it was harder to watch soccer in general, but it wasn't as popular. And so really in 2009 is when I dedicated myself to the U.S. men's national team. That was the year that we were in the Confederations Cup, beat Spain 2-0, lost the final to Brazil 3-2 after leading 2-0 at halftime. I remember exactly where I was with my best friend Mickey and his apartment. We had too much to drink. We were still in college then. We were like crying, mucus all over the place. It was really, really bad. And the next year, 2010 World Cup, I actually watched our elimination game when we lost to Ghana at a beer garden in Jersey City, New Jersey. And I was like, I'm never going to watch a game in public again because like the fan base was so like kind of like rude and ignorant. They were like, how could we be losing to Ghana? We're the best country in the world. And it was so hard. And so I was like, I'm never going to do it. And then fast forward all these years, and I think it's a totally different experience when you go to Schulz Brau and watch a U.S. men's national team game because the fan base is more educated, more sober, despite it being held in, a beer garden, and like really, committed. I think I'm still kind of bummed that I missed out on the raffle that you guys held for the first group stage games. I think you were giving away a scarf and a koozie, and I didn't want to win either of those things, but it was still a blast to be out there with you guys. So I want to ask you about the Copa América because that is the tournament that's ongoing right now. We're recording on July 3rd, approximately 8:27 p.m. So in case something happens before the time of publication, just so you know,
that's a great timestamp. And any breaking news after this, I'll make sure to put it in the edit. Yes.
So how are you guys feeling going into the Copa América? We know the U.S. Does not usually participate, neither does CONCACAF. They were invited. They were invited to host heading into the 2026 World Cup. So what were the feelings, Kyle, when everything's getting ready in June? It's like, okay, we're going to go to Copa. We've got Bolivia. We've got Panama. We've got Uruguay. How are you feeling?
To say I was feeling hopeful is misleading. I wholeheartedly believed we would come out that group, maybe not on top, but I believed we'd give Uruguay a good run, which we did. I've been telling friends that have just been looking on my long face these past couple days that this is in part somewhat quintessential of being a U.S. soccer fan, the rise and love and hope. And as we do get better, nonetheless find ourselves humbled, disappointing results. And there are a few positives coming out, I believe, of this tournament. Seeing Balogun get back on the score sheet, watching Joseph Scally really come into a role he was not expecting to start. But in order to rise, expectations have to rise, and this was a failure in my mind.
Yeah, so I think at the beginning of the tournament, Alexi Lalas, everyone's favorite, you either love him or you hate him, former U.S. men's national team player, commentator, I think he shared his bracket, and he had the U.S. going to the final and playing Argentina in the final. And a lot of people were like, that's a lot of braggadocio, we're a young, aggressive, fun team, but like, can we make it that far? I mean, a lot of people said if we don't make the semifinals, it might be a failure considering that we're hosting. Giles, what was kind of your feeling heading into the Copa América for the U.S.?
I was optimistic too. Maybe not as much as Alexi, but disappointing. I don't even know if that really gets to the word, but certainly expected us to get out of that group. I mean, we beat Panama a handful of times. Obviously the red card put us under, but we couldn't stay tight after going up on them. So it's just frustrating, disappointed. I'm not mad. Yeah, I'm mad. Yeah, I'm mad. So much hype, so much time to prepare, so many resources, and so much of it wasted. So much talent, so much time.
Yeah, it's hard. Were you guys there? So I didn't get to go to the Uruguay game because it was at 9 p.m. and I've got 3 little kids. But were you all together at Schulz Brau for the Uruguay game?
I was in Atlanta, actually. I was at the game. Oh, sorry, Uruguay? No. I'll take this count. We actually were at Alliance. So Schulz Brau is closed on Mondays. It's just how the bar runs. So couldn't have a watch party there. Made the audible a week or so before the game to move it to Alliance. So we got a good crew there, good 20, 30 people, packed it in.
Yeah, I wasn't able to make that one. Game times for U.S. soccer are never really convenient for an evening bartender, which is my job. So I'm constantly balancing the time off or do I have to work? And I take off as much as I can. But that was one game I had to miss out. But we had a good crowd out for that game.
So I asked because I was curious, Giles, so you were down in Atlanta for the second group stage game, the loss to Panama. And then I imagine, the way I watch the game against Uruguay, I watch it on TV, I watch it alone, like in the dark. And then, as soon as the game's over, my wife had gone to sleep. I'm like on for like an hour, between like Twitter and The Athletic and reading. And then like my best friend, Mickey, the guy who I watched the Confederations Cup loss with, he lives in Dominican Republic usually. I think he's stateside right now. And we just kind of like voice note each other, our frustrations. We experienced the 2017 loss against Trinidad, and my wife had to send like a police officer to my house to check on me because we weren't married yet, and I was not responding to any messages. I was just on the phone with Mickey crying. I was like, I cannot believe this happened to us. So I've experienced some lows. What was the environment like at Alliance, Giles, on game day?
I mean, we watched the whole 90 minutes. I can't speak for everyone there. I've got the stats up in front of me, as a matter of fact, for that game. 8 shots, like I can't walk away from a game and pretend like I'm surprised that a team that only shot 8 times didn't win. We didn't test them. We didn't do what we needed to do. We didn't finish. We weren't cold-blooded up there. That final third was just wanting.
Yeah, it was, I think, a fair criticism. Christian Pulisic before the game said that the U.S. needed to play the game of their lives because everything hung on the balance. And then
he's right.
When you see the controversy around the VAR call on Uruguay's goal, and then controversy around, the field, the refereeing being the like main storylines instead of the fact that we didn't score a goal, it kind of is. It's disappointing. But besides, how crummy it felt to lose, like for both of you guys, watching the tournament, what do you think needs to happen now for U.S. men's soccer? Obviously, U.S. soccer is evaluating Greg Berhalter's position, the coach who got let go, then rehired. And, now people are kind of split on whether he should stay with the World Cup being 2 summers away or whether he should go. The second youngest team, I think, of the tournament. I think, including the Euros, it's like the second youngest team that's playing right now in an international soccer competition. Do you guys have any thoughts on what went wrong, what needs to change? And besides, you mentioned Scally and Balogun having a great tournament, like what we could be optimistic about?
It's hard to be optimistic about our coach getting fired and finding somebody within the time frame of the World Cup to where they're going to have a proper amount of time to start to shape to their ideals and how they want to execute a match. I mean, before Greg Berhalter, how long did we have an interim coach? I think it was over a year. I don't think U.S. soccer organization is as inviting as we need it to be. Obviously, I'm speaking on the outside here, but we got 2 years, and as much as this hurts me to say, I think we have to just stick with what we have. Let him go after the World Cup. I mean, we made our bed when we rehired him.
I'm not as pessimistic. I think that a proper manager can get them going. I mean, they've been geared up. If it has to be someone maybe closer to the world of the current team, okay, so be it. Instead of having a complete outsider with a total different tactic, I think there are options. I don't have too many, frankly, but as a not a Jurgen Klopp or something, who's a complete outsider, who would expect to have a team built around him. But instead, the one that I think he's currently taken at the moment, but he's an American. I think he's relatively familiar with the federation, what have you. It's that Pellegrino Matarazzo. He's a pro, coaches over in Germany, but he's American. That might be an option. I think there are elite level Americans that maybe are more familiar with the brand and the team and the capabilities. I'm not as pessimistic. I'm just saying. I think there's options.
Yeah. I love some. I'm naturally pessimistic, so I love some optimism. Giles is referring to actually from Wayne, New Jersey, where I went to college, represent William Patterson University, the Pioneers. Let's see if I can pronounce this correctly. Pellegrino Matarazzo, who's coaching currently. As you said, he's coaching in Germany right now, but he is American. Yeah, I mean, we've seen Jurgen Klopp's name get thrown around. I think I read Mauricio Pochettino today also get thrown out. I don't think people realize how different club soccer and international soccer are. From not just the amount of time that you get to spend with the players, but what you actually do when you're there in camp. The camps are short, but at the same time, I think I've heard a lot of people say, what draws you besides the World Cup to the men's national team and to U.S. soccer, which has been a little bit up and down in the past couple of years, and I don't really know. So
to coach in a World Cup is pretty significant. That's a rare level for a coach. I would like to think that alone would convince a couple people.
Yeah.
I do hear where you're coming from. I don't know if our pay is necessarily competitive. A lot of these club guys are expected to get probably 10 times. I really have no idea of the scale, but I know they're getting paid.
Wasn't one of the original stipulations, it was you had to relocate to U.S. men's national team office, which is Chicago. So it's like, it's not the LA, it's not the Miami, it's not the New York office that it's like you could, flash at somebody. So yeah, it's a tough sell. So, but I hear both of you, Kyle. I'm kind of with you from how U.S. men's national team has kind of functioned in the past. It has gone slow, and so it might just be good just to see it out. But then also, I'm hopeful.
Well, play out the Greg Berhalter for another 2 years. I get that there's some harmony to a degree between him and the players, but if results are results, how do you genuinely expect it to get any better?
I mean, the bar was set to get past the group stage, and we did not meet the bar.
Yeah, I think I tend to agree. I also think the players tend to really like Greg Berhalter. I know Weston McKennie spoke afterwards, so did Pulisic, and they said it's a good group. I also, having been a player and a coach on a infinitesimally smaller level, like players don't always know best, and that's why coaches need to come in. So I am keeping it calm tonight, but I have lambasted my wife for days with Greg Berhalter conspiracy theories and not so nice words that we're not going to repeat on this family friendly podcast this evening. But transitioning away from the disappointment, failure that was the Copa América, we had the Olympics coming up, and we have two national teams that are going to be competing, and that is the men, who will be playing France on July 24th as their opener, and then they'll also play New Zealand and Guinea from Africa. That's their group stage, and then the U.S. women are going to face off against Zambia on July 25th, a day later than the men, Germany and Australia. This is the first time the U.S. men are going to be at the Olympics since Beijing 2008. I was actually there in the stadium in 2012 when they failed to qualify, losing to Canada 1-0. It was in Nashville, the last Olympic qualifier. So I'm excited to have them. How are you guys gearing up for the Olympic Games?
I'll take it. I'm excited. First time for the men in a long time. The women have a lot to prove too. They bowed out pretty unceremoniously in their World Cup, and they need to come back fighting. And beyond that, Brian, there's actually two more games, two friendlies for the women too, to gear them up. There's Costa Rica and Mexico. So we're definitely going to be showing Mexico. That's on a Saturday. I don't know about a 3:00 Tuesday game versus Costa Rica, but that's 7:30. Excuse me. You know what? Might do that too then, because I'm keen on watching.
Talking to the man that makes the plans right now.
Yeah. I love the ambition from them. They hired a new coach, right? Emma Hayes, she's a winner. She took Chelsea to new heights and knows how to manage attitudes, knows how to manage people. Well, not just people, divas,
huge personalities, big personalities. Yeah.
People button heads in the locker room. Somebody can keep them on check, because the Chelsea players are some of the best in the world for the women. So She knows how to manage them. So I'm stoked for them. In the U23 men's squad, I'm excited. Bunch of young talent out there. A lot to be excited for there.
Have we seen the squads yet? I know Argentina actually released their squad today, coached by Javier Mascherano, but I haven't seen the men's squad. The women's squad has made some controversy, and we may talk about it in a second. Obviously, Emma Hayes, the exact opposite of Greg Berhalter, somebody who coached in the U.S., had tremendous success with Chelsea. We paid her a premium to come and coach the U.S. women. We waited on her. We had an interim coach for a while after she signed her contract so she could finish her season with the WSL. And she made the big move of leaving out Alex Morgan, which people thought was pretty controversial. I'm a big Alex Morgan fan. My daughter, who's asleep upstairs, has a poster of Alex Morgan in her room. But I also think it was time to move on from that generation that failed at the World Cup and that stumbled at the last Olympics too. They got third place. They finished in bronze, but they went out to Canada in the semifinals. So Emma Hayes, has already made some headlines. Have you guys seen anything about the men, the U23s heading into the Olympics yet?
Yeah, I believe you're right. The formal official roster didn't come out to the 8th. That's what I saw. But the camp is out. It's been out for a while, at least what I would expect to be the core. So some familiar names. The younger crew has had a lot of success in like the U18 World Cups, and that's that generation, right? They're not too far behind Christian Pulisic and all them, but they've got their own fight to fight. So
how are you feeling heading into the Olympics for both the men and the women?
Well, selfishly, something to kind of revitalize this heart for U.S. soccer. I'm hopeful, man. Watching us bow out. Was that the game you said you were at where Sean Johnson? Was that who came out and the ball bounced over into the net?
Yep. That was my first men's national team game after moving to Knoxville. So I was super excited. It was like a surprise. I went, and it was in March. I remember that, and I was like, okay, go to Nashville, going to see the U.S. men. I'm so pumped. And then, it's 1-0 loss to Canada. It was rough.
Yeah, heartbreaking. And just missing out on an incredible opportunity for our youth to feel the pressure to show up at a big stage, to showcase themselves for potential scouting. Just so many great opportunities come from making it to the Olympics, to see our boys, guys like Cade Cowell coming in with a lot of promise. But we've seen players with promise, not quite live up to our hopes. But this is a great opportunity in trial form. So really excited for the men's. I haven't seen an official, final lineup for them, but you can take a lot from the June camp. For the women's, it's never easy to transition from the old guard to the new, especially with players that have endeared themselves, especially with someone success as Alex Morgan, who maybe Tobin Heath or Kristen Press might have made it. I know they're dealing with injuries for quite some time, but we're getting some young strikers and defenders, and I think that is healthy. Something that we hadn't quite always seen with the men's team, hence Trinidad and Tobago. But I'm hopeful for both. I'm excited just to have a reason for people to get back out and just watch some soccer together. That's always fun when you get around a crowd that loves the game.
Yeah, and I see. So Giles mentioned some friendlies for the women heading into the Olympics. The men's U23 team has a friendly against Spain on July 18th. Does AO Knoxville have any special plans for the Olympic Games?
We don't have anything quite special set up outside of the norm. Just wanting to first and foremost make sure that we've got everything coordinated to set out a time and place for everybody to come. Schulz Brau, I do want to shout them out, have been absolutely incredible to us. Nico and the people that work there have been very, very welcoming. At times even opening when they've closed for us. But Giles and I have got some work to do for certain, but we don't have anything quite special planned. We did just get out some new scarves thanks to Giles. If you want to tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. I made a new batch of more generic scarves. The last batch was specific to the Women's World Cup back in New Zealand. So I figured it was time to bring a new addition in play. Got a bit of a nod to the volunteers here. We're going to post it up here in the coming days, as a matter of fact.
Yeah. So how will people be able to get a hold of the scarves? Obviously, if they could come out to Schulz Brau, I feel like people should just know in Knoxville that if they want to see a men's or women's national team game, Schulz Brau, 97% of the time, both of you guys are going to be there. Or at least one of you guys is going to be there. There's going to be U.S. Fans there. But in the case of these scarves or any of the merch memorabilia that you guys have, how can people get a hold of it?
Yeah, we're going to make a link on Facebook and Instagram for a way to buy them online. We can ship them out to you, get them to you within a couple days, or any of the friendlies coming up. And obviously during the games themselves, we'll be able to share them with you guys. We have not just scarves, we have some koozies, some stickers, some I don't think you're going to need them right now in the heat of summer, but we have some sweatshirts too. So yeah, we can hook you up.
Always can use another good sweatshirt. Always.
Mid-July, I don't know.
that is actually that people don't talk about this enough with the scarves. Like I have my little scarf collection in the back, or one half of it, and then I see, you guys can't see Kyle, but Kyle's got all of his scarves hanging in the back. You've got the winter material and the summer material scarf, and I have some beautiful U.S. and Argentina and some club scarves, but they're the winter material, and I'm like, I don't want to carry these out, when it's 95 degrees in a humid southern summer.
But dear listener, have no fear. We'll link everything that they provide us. We'll have everything in the show notes down there. So when the scarves go live, you can grab them there. But I mean, the best way to do it, get out to Schulz Brau and cheer on the USA and grab a scarf or a sticker, or if you're cold natured, grab a sweatshirt too.
Our koozies are designed after the '94 home kits. Real denim.
The denim kit?
Yeah.
Oh, man, I'm grabbing me one of those. Let's go.
Yeah. Okay. So you guys are on Facebook. You're on Instagram. People can reach you there if they don't want to show up to Schulz Brau. They're a little shy, though. It's a fun group. I highly recommend they go. Before we close things out, just to summarize, Copa América, frustrating, disappointing. Still don't know what's going to happen with the men's national team. As we said, U.S. Soccer is evaluating Greg Berhalter's position. Some people on this call included want him gone. Others say it's too close to the World Cup. Let's keep him here. We've got some Olympic Games for the men and the women starting on July 24th. They're going to be at Schulz Brau. It's going to be awesome. The men haven't been in the tournament since 2008. The women, last time around, beat Australia 4-3 in the third place game. But still kind of frustrating tournament. That they lost to Canada on a PK in the semifinal. Canada wound up winning. One of our eternal rivals here in CONCACAF. A lot of excitement. Emma Hayes is the coach for the U.S. women's national team. If we go to Schulz Brau, we'll be able to hang out and watch all of these games together. Patty, I think you have at least one pretty great question, pretty great and important question for our guests before we end this episode.
This is a little bit of a Knox Soccer Podcast classic. We've been going for 80 plus episodes, and this one kind of keeps coming up again and again. So Greg Berhalter, Jurgen Klinsmann, pickleball match. Who's winning?
I think Greg takes that. It's such I don't want to bash pickleball, but it definitely, I don't want to associate pickleball with Greg Berhalter, but it kind of fits his vibe. Also, he's got the
what Giles means to say is pickleball is such a loser sport, and Greg Berhalter's a loser. So he'd be great at it. That's what it sounded like to me. What do you think, Kyle?
As quirky as Klinsmann is, I'd probably have to go with Klinsmann. It just seems he was doing everything but trying to coach the U.S. team. So I imagine he's got a lot of hours at pickleball.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I think near the end, both coaches brought us some joys. I mean, we've had Nations League and Gold Cup finals against Mexico the past couple of years that we won. They brought us joys. They brought us lows. I think Klinsmann near the end was like forcing the players to like attend like Buddhist Zen, sessions and stuff like that. I heard it got pretty weird. But yeah, okay, so. Berhalter Klinsmann split. Interesting. I am curious if you could have one men's player out with you at Schulz Brau for a game. If you could convince them to come to, and they do pass through. I've actually hung out with Luis Robles here in Knoxville, thanks to listener and supporter Hemant Sharma. He called me up one day, got to hang out with Luis Robles. Has a couple of caps with the U.S. men's national team. But if you could pick one guy on the current squad to come out to Schulz Brau, have himself a nice Helles beer,
Dunkel, man. Dunkel.
Or Dunkel, 1 liter, go big or go home.
Go big.
Who are you guys hanging out with?
Is this current or anybody that's played?
So let's do a current, and then since they have such a blast, they're going to, send a phone call, shoot a text message over, and then you can get a veteran over for the next one. So let's go current and former.
Current, I'd have to say Weston McKinney. That guy just seems to know how to have fun. He seems to be sort of the personality and lifeblood of that team. You always need those serious characters, but then you also need to liven it up, and that's Weston.
He'd down that leader. He'd enjoy it.
He definitely looks like he drinks beer. I'll say that. So yeah, he's definitely a blast. Giles, who are you bringing in from the current squad?
I got to go with my fellow center back, Tim Ream. He can teach me how to play. I'm still learning, Brian.
Dude, Giles is a center back. Giles, are you still running the back line for Get Off My Lawn?
Oh, yeah, buddy. Yeah, buddy. Yeah, buddy.
Going.
So Giles, if you can hear him, Giles is not a 50-year-old man, but he captains a team that has been in Knoxville for probably like 20 years. Like I played against them back in 2011 or 2012, called Get Off My Lawn. That they embrace the grouchiness. Tim Ream looks like he can get down. He's been around for a long. I think his first cap with the national team was like 2007 or 2008. He's been around for a long time.
Veteran picks.
So Weston has a blast. Tim has a blast. They're like, hey, you guys got to come hang out with Kyle and Giles, man. They're doing it right over in the 865. Which former men's national team player are you bringing over?
I got to go with my boy Stuart Holden. I've got the joy of meeting him a couple times, and the guy is genuine. He's kind, loves to have a good time, cares about the fan base, and loves to have a beer. So, got to go with my boy Stu.
I'm going with my most realistic possibility, which is Tim Howard, whose daughter is going to be a Lady Vol come this next semester. So there's a not so improbable chance that there's an overlap there. Just saying.
Yeah,
come on, Tim.
I've actually through the grapevine, I heard that obviously our head coach here at UT, Joe Kurt, he's a former goalkeeper coach for the Lady Vols. Obviously, Hemant Sharma, who's also on staff, goalkeeper coach. And so, I was kind of like pinging Hemant anytime I heard something about Tim's daughter. And then, it was made official, which is super exciting. So that would be, man, it would be great. I think I got to be within 10 feet of Tim Howard in 2022. I convinced my wife for our wedding anniversary to fly down to Orlando and watch Everton play a game against Millonarios from Colombia. They won, thankfully. It was terrible, though.
They won the what was it? The
Florida Cup.
Florida Cup, baby.
The most silverware. The most important. They'll never take that away from us. So I was within 10 feet of Tim. Tim and Stewie Holden, Tim Ream and Weston McKinney. That would be a party. That would be a party.
Like a good time.
Heck yeah! All right, guys. Well, do you have any parting words for us before we wrap this thing up?
Yeah. Anybody who's remotely interested in watching some soccer this summer, come out. We'd love to have you. We'd love to share the joy, and hopefully watch our men and women get some gold.
Yeah. And once again, guys, thanks for having us. Look forward to seeing you at the events this summer when you can make it out. And for all those listening, just come on out, enjoy, help us spread the love and the fever of the game. And if you have any questions and you see us, please come, ask, and we're happy to help.
Hit us up on socials too.
Oh yeah, we'll plug all the socials. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us on the Knox Soccer Podcast. It was a blast. Dear listener, that's all we got for you today. If you enjoyed the show, be sure to sign up for the newsletter at knoxsoccerpodcast.com. Huge thanks to Markman Jewelers for sponsoring the podcast. and keeping the lights on here in the studio. Be sure to show them some love. And with that, we'll see you over at Schulz Brau.